Why, hello there. My name is Mountain, and today I'd like to talk to you about this. And what is this, you might ask? Well, this is the Rofmia Shift Boston bag, size medium. As the name suggests, it's a medium, moderate, 22-liter size Boston bag, which is a type of carry-all bag manufactured by Rofmia, the Gifu Japan-based craftsman who makes some of the finest DCF or Dyneema Composite Fabric bags in the market today, in my opinion. Longtime viewers of my channel might remember that one of my original videos was actually reviewing the Rofmia Shift the Daypack V2, which to this day remains one of my favorite EDC bags and one of my favorite Dyneema bags of all times. Speaking of that, this bag's main claim to fame is probably exactly that. The fact that it's manufactured out of this really great high quality 5-ounce DCF fabric. It is actually the only Boston bag that I could find made in this style, made out of this fabric. There are plenty of backpacks, plenty of duffels, and then lots of sacoches and smaller pouches made of Dyneema. But I couldn't really find another bag in this exact form factor that was made out of Dyneema composite fabric. Beyond that, though, it also has some really nice, just subtle shaping and detailing, and then little touches like this YKK aquaguard zipper, and then just these little tiny minimalist zipper pulls that I think also help contribute to its notable minimalist aesthetic. Now, its main claim to infamy is probably going to be its eye-watering price tag. Now, depending on where you are in the world and with tax and shipping, this bag is easily over $500 US, which is a lot of money for a bag of this simple style. So, with that out of the way, let's talk about who this bag is for and who it's not for. So actually, the bag as you see before you is actually packed out exactly how I had it on our recent couple of nights trip, where I just brought only this bag and then just a small little Velroy City sling, or city pouch, just to hold my wallet and my phone. So in that way, I would say it's well suited for people who are doing maybe overnight or maybe a couple night business style or domestic style travel. So not quite one bag, but basically like one bag and then like a little pouch or something like that. I think this is a great choice for that. It's also going to be a pretty good choice given its size for people who are looking for a kind of EDC use Boston bag. Like Boston bags are actually intended for daily use as well as for kind of overnight travel. And so looking at the size, it actually works pretty well for that, especially if you're a person who likes minimalist aesthetic and you want something that looks a little bit it's not super in your face, but when you look closely, it has like really nice details that make it stand out. I think it's a great choice for that. Now, this bag on the inside, which I'll get to in a little bit, doesn't have a ton of organization. It's just basically a big dump pouch and then like a single laptop slot. And then on the front, the only thing here is just this front pocket with a couple of little organizers inside. So this bag is not going to be a great choice for people who are looking for a bag that has a place for everything, because it's just really a very minimalist bag in terms of the organization that it offers. It's also not going to be a great choice for people who don't have a very tightly dialed in kit. I have a pretty tightly dialed in kit, but most people who don't might do better with a slightly larger weekender style bag, like a 30-liter type bag, and I'll show you some alternatives at the end of this video. Also, the bag itself, while it is comfortable to carry while moderately loaded, if you start putting a lot of stuff in it and you have to carry it for more than a short distance, the suspension system on it is not the best. So this might not be the best choice for people who need to travel, who plan on walking long distances with heavy objects inside the bag. So with that out of the way, let's look at the exterior of this bag. Now the first thing that you notice is that this bag has kind of a square shape, but if you turn it on its side, you can actually see, and I'll show you here, excuse me, and I'll show you here, like you actually get a little bit of this nice rounding, slight shape, tapering at the top here, which again is the traditional Boston bag aesthetic where it's a little bit wider at the bottom and kind of narrows towards the top a bit. And I like that. The way that Rofmia does this is, in most of their bags as far as I can see, is like it has like a very simple exterior shape, but when you look closely, there's like subtle pleating, such as at the bottom of this front pocket that expands to give you a little bit of volume, subtle shaping, like such as with this kind of seam here that kind of evokes the Boston bag aesthetic, and then kind of a gentle rounding at the top here, again with these seams that kind of give it a slightly rounded aesthetic. So very much a square bag in terms of the main surfaces of the bag, but with nice kind of shaping to it. And I like that about this bag. It makes it just a little bit interesting, gets it away from that traditional tote aesthetic, and also evokes the traditional kind of Boston bag-esque kind of look. Now, the other thing that you notice about this bag, right away, it stands up on its own. And I find this to be the case with most any kind of load that you put in there, unless you really just put like a laptop or something in there. DCF itself has some stiffness to it. As you can see, if I kind of like put the fabric like this, it sort of holds its shape. It's obviously very thin. It's well, I mean, not super thin, but it's 5 ounces here. So, you know, it's not padded, doesn't have any kind of additional reinforcement inside, but the nature of the fabric itself is such that it does tend to retain its shape even when empty. Beyond that, though, also this bag tends to, like the fabric of DCF tends to wear in over time. And so this bag I've been using for a few weeks now. It's not, you know, you can see it has some wear, but not like fully worn in. It will get a little bit softer over time, but it's never going to fully lose its structure, inherent structure. On top of that, you know, it is a very crinkly fabric. So people who aren't used to Dyneema, this might not, you know, and if you're bothered by bags that are loud, this might, you know, not be the best choice for you. For myself personally, I don't find that it, you know, is that super noisy, usually because I'm just kind of hauling it and then putting it on here as opposed to putting it on a surface or something like that, as opposed to like a backpack where you're constantly, you know, moving back and forth with it. Now, the other notable kind of, I guess, hallmarks of the exterior of this bag, you're going to notice that it has just very, very clean lines here. Just a single, you know, zipper on the outside here, very straightforward, kind of like, you know, straps attached and nothing really fancy going on, no extra loops or pockets or anything to distract from that minimalist aesthetic. And that makes it work well, I think, both in like kind of travel, personal travel, especially if you're a fan of all black and everything, because this bag's only available in black, or also like in a kind of semi-professional, kind of casual workplace. I think this will be, you know, fine. Obviously, if you're working in an investment bank, you probably will want to invest in like some Toomey hard, you know, totes or rolled luggages or whatever people do. So with that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about the straps and the carry system on this bag. So right away, let's talk about the main way in which I carry this bag, which is with these two handles. They're very straightforward. As you can kind of see, they're just this, they're made out of the same Dyneema as the rest of the material. And then it's just kind of, you know, so you can see here, it's kind of doubled over here and sewn together with a little bit of reinforcement on the inside to form two handles. It's not going to go over your shoulder, but it's fine as a kind of carry handle. And in fact, this is how I carry the bag probably 95% of the time, at my side like this, and it kind of hangs down at a comfortable distance. Now, there's no real like padding, there's just a little bit of reinforcement inside. So if you need to carry this bag for a long distance, or you have a lot of weight inside of it, this will start to get uncomfortable. I mean, again, it's a soft fabric, so it won't necessarily cut into your hand right away, but it is relatively thin handle. So, you know, I did notice that. So in those cases, I will also use this removable shoulder strap. Now the shoulder strap itself is very, very simple. It attaches and detaches using these traditional metal swivel hooks. Like this is a kind of attachment that honestly I associate with like really cheap bags that you might buy at an airport. Like if you just need a bag and then you plan to use it once and then throw it away, which is terrible for the environment, but still, like that's my association with this. But this one goes a little bit further, even though it is sort of that traditional metal swivel style. It has this nice blacked out hardware. Although one thing I noticed that was interesting is if you look at the inside of here, of the tooth here, you can kind of see where they've applied the black paint or whatever to this. Actually, it feels rough, so I thought it might come off at first, but it has actually not really flaked off. But I thought that was interesting. So I guess they must have bought custom hardware and maybe blackened it afterwards. The strap itself is very straightforward, very simple. It's just like this simple nylon or strap, a single, again, blackened hardware slide adjustment, and then it attaches to these very well attached, again, blackened metal hooks here. No plastic on any of the strap attachments or strap parts itself, which I like. It's easy to put on and off, and similarly, it's very easy to adjust the length of the strap, and it tends to hold its position. I didn't have any problems with it slipping. So when I, get tired of carrying the bag by the handle, like maybe if I'm going a fair distance or I need my hands free for something, I'll just simply sling it over my shoulder, and then the bag will hang down like this. And it's pretty easy, then I have my hands free. And then when I'm not doing that, because the strap is pretty, small, lightweight, it kind of hangs easily out of the way and not really, intrusive. So I don't usually mind leaving it attached to the bag, whereas with some other bags where the strap has like pads and stuff like that, I might hide it inside the bag because I find it annoying. So usually carry it like this. Now one thing, because there is no padding or really frame sheet to this bag, when you're carrying it by the shoulder strap, you will get this kind of curving in this dimension, like in this direction, kind of like a U shape, obviously. There's no like reinforcement or anything. It's just sewn with a strap into here. I haven't had any problems with it kind of feeling like it's going to tear yet. I also don't think that you should overload this bag, but it's kind of hard to do that given its size. But anyway, it just kind of pulls up here, which is as to be expected, but then it also naturally conforms. So this is actually the front of the bag. So when I wear it, it will bow up, and then you can see kind of, if you look at the top of the bag, kind of bend in this shape to wrap around your back a little bit, meaning the contents of the bag tend to be squished a little bit more towards the center. Now, obviously, how full you have the bag packed out or not will affect how much of that bowing you get and how much compression you get. This bag is fairly well packed out. As I mentioned, I just came back from a trip with this for a couple nights. So, it doesn't do that too much, but it's something that I noticed. All right, the last detail actually before we jump into the pockets of the bag is going back to these handle straps. You'll notice that there's actually these 2 loops, and that's true on both sides of the bag here and here. And that's actually for the separate kind of attachment system that Rofmia sells. They sell like a couple of pouches or whatever that you can slide through here, like a mobile phone holder or something. Honestly, I don't think that it works. I mean, I'm sure it works well. I don't own any of them in terms of staying attached, but I just don't like the way that they kind of flop over because, they attach through here and then they flop down in front of this. I don't personally think that that's a very clean look. I think it detracts, in fact, from the kind of aesthetic that they have going on here. And I just don't think it's very good for accessibility because obviously, the zipper would be covered in this direction, and then on the back of the bag, it would then be bumping against your body as you carry it. So, I mean, it is an option. You could, hook something in there, a hero clip or something like that if you wanted to, or buy the strap attachments, but for myself, I don't need those. So talking about the actual pockets of the bag, it's very simple. There's only a single external access pocket, and that's this front pocket here. And it's, again, this really nice YKK aquaguard. Zipper, minimalist. They call out on their website that this little mesh zipper garage, which I like, is made out of like a Japanese manufactured stretch fabric. I like it. It's very nice. It's a subtle touch. And then zippering it open. Obviously, there's a little bit of friction looking at the size of the smallness of the zipper and the aquaguard nature of it, but it's not bad at all. I don't mind. I don't have any problem opening this zipper at all, and no matter even if it's on my side or whatever. So opening it up, let's see, I'm going to flip it around here. So now you're looking at the top of, this is the front of the bag, and you can see maybe that there's 2 pockets on the inside here. And the inside fabric itself is this kind of robust stretch mesh fabric. I like that they use this on their other bags as well. It feels very, very robust. So looking at this pocket here, I have a Bellroy note-taker notebook, and I have some masks in a kind of mask holder. And then looking at this kind of main pocket, I just have a toothbrush set for on the go. And then on this left side pocket, I have, what do I have here? I have highlighter, chapstick, some alcohol to sanitize my hands, and then some AirPod Pros here. And that's really it in terms of what I have inside of this bag. As you can see, there's actually still some space inside of the main capacity of the bag besides these 2 pockets. So you can actually fit a little bit more here. Now, one thing that's important to note is that DCF doesn't have any stretch. It does not really stretch as a fabric. So you can't overload this pocket beyond what the dimensions of the material allow. Although, again, you do have this mesh backing, so you can intrude slightly into the front or to the inside main compartment of the bag. But in the front, you can't really stretch out beyond what this fabric allows. To kind of alleviate that, they actually have this kind of subtle pleating at the bottom. And again, I think I mentioned that at the beginning of this review that Rofmia does that. Like, when you look at it from the front, it's not really visible, but when you kind of overload this thing, this front pocket a bit, it kind of puffs out a bit to give you the ability to carry slightly heavier, or I don't know heavier, but slightly bulkier items. And the pockets themselves on the inside are very easy to get in and out of, materials in and out of. Let me see if I can get, you can see they have, this is actually not a stretch fabric, this top loop. It's actually like a non-flexible nylon strap, but the pockets themselves are made out of stretch fabric, which is nice because once you work it past that first nylon kind of retaining strap, it can kind of get trapped and retained very nicely inside of the main contents of main capacity of that pocket in there. Oh, I also had a pen, a James Rand Benton pen in this pocket as well. I find it, nice in terms of like, if you weren't going to bring a sling or something like that, you can obviously put like your wallet and your phone in here and drop it in and out. And it's relatively secure and semi-organized thanks to the two kind of inner pockets there. And that's really it in terms of the external access to this pocket. So beyond that, the next thing is to get into the main compartment of the bag. So the main compartment of the bag has these dual track, non-locking, minimal, zippers. And again, I really like the zipper pulls on here. They're just very, very small, very, very like subtle and minimalist, but easy to operate. Opening it up here, you can see it. This is the front of the bag. This is the back of the bag. You can just see it's a simple, huge dump pocket. So let's start with what I have inside of here. So first thing I have is a camera. This is a Leica Q2, I believe. Not I believe it is. Then I have like a little North Face pouch with some odds and ends, some batteries, a little like mobile phone tripod, etc. This is going to be like, this is a Topo Designs X-Pack pouch with like with a phone charger and I think like a USB, phone battery. And then you can see that gives us access to the second layer. Not second layer, but how I've sort of packed it. So here I have a Peak Design packing pouch, and then here I have a DOP kit and an electronics kit, which I'll show you in a second. And I like how that fills out just exactly the width of this bag. So, you have this open space here, and on top you can just put some items like this, and kind of rests nicely on there. And then it just zips up closed like this. And I like how well that all sort of just fits in there, right? And it's all just available as soon as you open the bag, which I like bags that pack well like that. And because there is no organization inside of this bag, you really do need to use pouches or things to kind of organize yourself. So moving in from this side here, let's take this out. And then this is my Bellroy DOP kit, which I've talked about in the past. I usually carry with me. There are smaller DOP kits out there, and now they actually make a larger version of this, but for me, this is a really great size. Then next to it, I have a Moment Tech Pouch Small. This is the small one that comes inside of their larger kind of tech organizer. For me, this is a really great size in terms of just everything it can hold and while it's remaining very compact. It has just enough organization to kind of keep everything in place, but kind of a slim profile as well. And then we can see here where we're at now. We've got this open space where that used to be. And then we bring out the Peak Design packing cube small, I think actually. This is all the clothes I need for a couple of nights, or honestly, I could do a week with this. Now you have to have a really tightly dialed in kit, and then obviously I do laundry, throughout the stay or whatever if I'm traveling for an extended period of time or something like this. But it is possible to do a week with just this kind of compressed down packing cube. And then I happen to have, this is a Mystery Ranch In and Out packable day pack. I don't always carry a backpack if I know I'm going on a certain trip where I have a very specific purpose. I know I probably won't need a backpack. I'll just use like the sling and then carry the iPad, which I'll show you in a second, in my hand. But if I do need a backpack, this one's probably one of the smallest, decently featured backpacks out there, and it fits nicely in there. And then I have just a hair iron because you gotta look good or else it don't matter. And then you can see in here then, really, what we have, this is the front of the bag now, is just a big open cavity. There's nothing there except some small light padding at the bottom. I know I said this bag doesn't have any padding. It doesn't have any padding on the sidewalls, but there's a bit of padding at the bottom there. And then just this front laptop compartment here. In this laptop compartment, I have a 12-inch iPad Pro with the keyboard cover. And then I have just like a couple of, this is a Night Eyes like waterproof pouch. Sometimes when I'm carrying like extra credit cards or some sort of important documents, cash, I might put it in there. And then just like another little mesh pouch. Usually I put receipts or something in there, but this one has my masks in it. And beyond that, the bag is completely empty. And you can see there's just, this laptop compartment is constructed in the same way as the inner pockets of the front, the inner organizer pockets of the front pocket, which is to say it has this nylon strap at the top. It has this really nice thick mesh fabric that feels very robust in it. And it's just this big empty bag. And you can see here, as I mentioned, the bag has some structure in it. So even though it's completely empty, it will retain its shape. And that's, a great property of, I think, Dyneema. And it also makes loading and unloading this bag very, very easy. So I love how simple this bag is. And to me, it represents a certain kind of philosophy of travel or of packing or of carry taken to a really pleasant extreme, which is to say, there's a philosophy that, kind of indicates all your, when you're packing a bag or you're traveling, like the amount of weight or weight or material dedicated, features dedicated to the bag that carries your belongings should be minimized so as to maximize what you can carry at the lightest weight with the highest kind of capacity. And you may have heard me refer to this in past videos as like a bag's having like a good capacity to weight ratio or capacity to size ratio. And that's what I'm, at least for myself, I'm referring to when I talk about bags like that, which is some bags, they're like super overbuilt. They've got like these big chunky things and the really heavy fabrics and a bunch of pockets and layers. And this bag is just like basically like a single pouch or a single capacity, but it still has enough subtle organization, a couple pockets here, a laptop compartment there, to make it usable for the realities of modern urban life or urban travel, right? Where we do have devices, where we do have to, have some amount of on-the-go access. And for me, like, I think that that's a really tricky balance to strike. But when you do strike it, and if you are a kind of person that travels according to that philosophy, then a bag like this is really, really great. Like, I love this bag. I've only used it for a few weeks, but I already love this bag because I'm that kind of person. And so look at how quick and easy it was to load this thing, how much I could fit into it for a very like kind of small, relatively small, compact shape. This could easily fit under a seat in front of you or an overhead bin or whatever. It, count as a personal item. Can be used as a briefcase if you needed to. And the material itself weighs so little, like the bag, itself weighs so little that it lets you really maximize what you can carry on here. This is about, I think, 7.3 kilograms of stuff in here, which, okay, is about 300 grams over like the most, the strictest 7 kilogram weight limit, but you could obviously, like, you don't have to necessarily bring like that extra phone tripod or whatever. You could kind of work with it a bit. And, so you could travel anywhere in the world, literally, with something like this in this really tight, compact part, which I think is a really great thing about this bag. And if you are kind of interested in DCF or Boston bags, and you're willing to pay, or you can and are willing to pay for that design premium, because obviously it is a pricey bag, this might be a bag that you'd want to consider. So that having been said, if you're in the market for a bag like this, what are some other bags that you might want to consider? Well, first and foremost, I think, let's talk about the kind of traveler case where, again, I've been using this as sort of like almost like a weekender, like for, a tote Boston for travel. And I've previously reviewed this, this is the Bellroy Weekender, 30 liter, I believe. And this is actually, to this day, I believe, one of the best weekenders out on the market out there. Now, first of all, the obvious thing needs to be said. It's a much larger bag. Well, not much, but it's somewhat larger than the Boston bag by Rofmia here. But it also is a bag that I think represents that sort of similar philosophy, at least in terms of like a big main capacity kind of pack vertically, sort of like how the Rofmia Boston bag kind of wants to be packed vertically. And then it just has more organization though, right? Like you can already see many more pockets on the inside here. And then, this same front access pocket has the same general 2-pocket structure, but just more space and more kind of extra organization, zippers here and there. It can be carried over the shoulder, no shoulder strap on this one, but it can be carried over the shoulder. But you can already see like it's just a slightly different philosophy, a little bit fussier, a little bit more, not fussier, but a little bit more complex, just a lot more, stuff like this, suitcase, trolley, sliding handle, etc. But I've got a full video, which I'll link in the description below. So if you're interested in a weekender, and this one's just a little bit too small, or you don't want to, you can't or don't want to pay the price for this, you might want to check out this, Bellroy Weekender. It's one of the best weekenders out there. And I should also mention there's a larger version of this. There's the Boston bag size L, but I don't personally think, although I haven't tried it, that this style and structure will work so well when expanded out to like the 40-liter capacity, just because of then you start to running into, I think, just kind of that sag problem, and just the lack of organization might not be enough at 40 liters. Now, I did mention also that, besides one bag travel, you can also use this for kind of EDC use or like a briefcase. And in that case, I would draw your attention to this, which is the new Arc'teryx Granville briefcase, which I believe is around 15 liters. It is, you can kind of see, slightly smaller, well, maybe it's hard to see, but slightly smaller than the Rofmia tote, which makes sense because this one's technically about 5 liters or so larger. I haven't had much of a chance to use this one out yet. I've just recently gotten it. You could already see it looks, I'm going to say more professional. I mean, it is an Arc'teryx bag made out of their AC squared material, so, or AC2 material. So, you know, professional is casual professional, I think is the right term. It's definitely much more of a briefcase style bag, like a shallower pocket in front here. And then if you look at the inside, you know, you've got a couple more laptop organization pouches and a couple of internal front stretch organization pouches. There is a removable shoulder strap, which has a padding, and in Arc'teryx's general style, like the pad is in the middle here, though it is very low profile, almost like made out of their climbing harness material here. Clips onto the sides with these gate buckles, which I personally find a little bit fussier. Like, you know, having only used this a couple of times, I can already tell you that attaching and detaching with these swivel hooks is so much faster than with the fussy gate clips on this bag. Anyway, this one is another one if you're looking for kind of a minimalist kind of EDC use briefcase style bag. Obviously this one, not obviously, but I mean this one's much more affordable than this one. I think it's about $160 US, where again, this one's over 500 bucks. All right. Now, taking the same idea of really minimalist one bag travel, let's look at something where, you know, with that kind of like, you know, minimizing the amount of material spent or weight and function spent on the bag carrying your stuff. Let's look at this. This is the Arc'teryx Valence Seque tote, S-E-Q-U-E tote. I'll put the name here in the description below. This is, again, from Arc'teryx's Valence diffusion line. It's a seam tape waterproof tote. Obviously super minimalist. There's only a single internal organization pocket here on there, and that's really it in terms of the organization. You get nothing on the outside. Dual carry handles, one for like kind of hand carry, and then slightly longer ones if you want to wear it over your shoulder like this. Now this bag is, you know, I think very much the same philosophy as this, just a slightly different orientation. You can see if we kind of flip it sideways, then the bags start to look very, very similar. Very, very lightweight, waterproof, all of that good stuff. If you don't want or, you know, can't afford to pay the price for that, I think this one's around 300 something US dollars. The Arc'teryx main line also usually has, not always, but usually has like a standard tote. I think this one is the Bianca 19. Again, it's gonna be very much the same thing, like just a very minimalist tote with a big dump pocket and a single internal organization pocket. Only shoulder straps, no like hand carry straps. I think the latest iteration is like the Granville tote, 18 liter. So again, slightly smaller than these, but very much the same philosophy. If you're looking for that kind of type of carry, like definitely consider totes like these. The downside with totes like these, I should mention, is that there's no real nice place to put your laptop, which is obviously a consideration. And then finally, if you're looking for something along the same philosophy, but maybe a little bit more ruggedy outdoorsy, there's a myriad of different kind of duffels you can consider. This one is the Patagonia duffel. Actually, I think this one is no longer made. It's a very small one. It's like 20 liters or so, maybe. I don't think it's 30 liters. I think the smallest one they have right now is 30 liters. But anyway, it's very minimalist in terms of just, you know, like a big dump pocket, but then again, a couple of small organizational pockets, one on the front side here. The material is kind of, you know, Patagonia's trademark. I don't know the name of this fabric, but they used it in a lot of their products. I think that, you know, this one I've definitely used for the same purposes of like kind of like minimalist travel where I want to just dump everything in it and kind of go like this. So again, will probably fit under most, you know, airplane seats, etc. It also has backpack straps, so it is a little bit fussier than this one, but a little bit more outdoorsy if, you know, if that's the vibe you're going for. And I think that you have the same problem with this one, which is no place to put your laptop. So you just generally have to put it in like a protective case or thing. And so really, that is it. If you have any questions about this Rofmia Shift Boston Bag M, go ahead and leave those in the comments below. And if I can, I'll answer them. And if you have any bags you'd like me to review, go ahead and leave those in the comments below, and I'll get to them soon, or I'll try to answer them soon. Thank you very much.